What's going on, guys? We're back for episode 3 of Nothing Off the Table. In light of the recent events that's been going on around the nation, the tragic active shooter events, wanted to dedicate an episode and ask the chief some questions in regards to how we are as a department are going to be addressing events such as these, or trying to prevent events such as these from ever happening in our city. So kind of wanted to stay on the same topic for the whole one. I know we usually do 3 different questions, but this one's solely going to be dedicated onto how we as a department are addressing that issue. So with that being said, let's get this started. Chief!
Nick, how are you, brother?
How you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
All right, let's get this party started. Ready?
I'm ready, brother, whenever you are.
So, sir, normally we do 3 questions, like to break it up. This time around, there's a topic that's being talked about on a national level. Seeing if maybe we can touch on some things here and what we're doing at the police department. And that has to deal with the tragedies that happen across the nation, recent active shooter events that have been taking place. A lot of people are talking about it, and people at home here wondering, hey, what's the police department doing about it? So on a training level, speaking from a personal experience as a police officer, I know we're doing a tremendous amount of active shooter trainings, from heat shield. I just went through a couple courses, exterior response to an active shooter event, a solo officer response. So there's plenty of training in-house for officers to address a threat or a situation if one comes about. But what more can be done as our agency, or what more are we doing to help prevent or mitigate or lessen the chances of something on that scale happening here in Miami?
Nick, it's a great question, and it's something that we think about all the time. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it's one of the more stressful parts of this job. And this job, I mean the chief's job, because I'm constantly mindful. If we have an event going on, and sometimes it's even a small event, you know, that pops into my head. What are we doing, and have we done enough? And we always have to find ways to prepare. And one of the things that we're doing that we're proud of here at the city is we have this SHIELD program. And this is modeled after New York City. And it's the biggest one in the country right now, where we have 12 dedicated officers that we've just trained. We have 2 officers that examine and go over open source information on social media platforms. And the idea is that these guys go out proactively and look at soft targets. They go to the hotels, they go to house of worship, they go to where events are being held, and they do their best to try to harden that location. One of the things that they do is that they communicate, for example, let's say it's a hotel. So they establish a relationship with the people there, the general manager, security. If you have questions, let us know. If you have information, something you observed, somebody checking in by themselves, 14 bags of luggage, you know, that all looks heavy, like what happened in Vegas, for example. We want someone to call us. And of course, the idea is that we share information with them, which we do. We send them emails. They share information with us, and hopefully this sharing allows us or gives us the ability to prevent something from happening, where we're able to jump on something quickly and it never developed into the actual shooter, active killer scenario. I'm hoping that this SHIELD program really takes off. I don't see why it wouldn't. Some of the things, Nick, putting kids in hotels, where if something, God forbid, were to happen, you can run in there and you have access to every room. You're not locked out, or you can't take the elevator. A lot of these places, you need a key card, for example.
So by kit, what do you mean by kit?
So those kits will have a hotel radio, so you have the ability to communicate with you know, hotel staff and security, for example. If that hotel has their own office where they have video cameras, we have access to that, where we have the ability to speak to that person. Keys that to be able to access wherever we may need. Key cards to get into wherever we may need. Okay. Tourniquets, you know, not just the ones that the officers have, not just the ones that we have extra when we have an event, but there at the hotels. You know, these are some of the things that we're doing that, again, if something were to happen, we have the ability to mitigate the damage that's being done.
So is there any training that we're offering maybe to some civilians or businesses or like establishments where we can go in and give what we know if someone requests it, that we can go out, train their employees or in an active shooter event what to do, the whole run, hide, fight program?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things with SHIELD is that you establish that contact, or even if you haven't yet, someone can certainly contact us. I think we've started just a few months ago, and we're probably close to 130 different training. The vast majority of that training is what to do with an active shooter. But a lot of the training also is, terrorism awareness, anti-terror awareness, red flags, things to look for, what you should be reporting on, always trust your instincts, these kind of things. So that's like probably the biggest component of SHIELD, is that we're going out and we're training people. This is the way you should react, God forbid, if something were to happen.
So let me ask you, we have SHIELD, they're going out, giving that information, what to do in case of an event, to see something, say something, message, putting it out there. Is there anything else that we're implementing as a police department to combat this stuff from happening?
Yeah, one of the other things that we do, and in the state of Florida, this was all part of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act, where there's something that's called a risk protection order. I think maybe there's 15, 16, 17 states that have something similar. The rest do not. I don't think Ohio has it yet. And we just had the massacre there in Dayton. And in that case, and this is not to second guess or Monday morning quarterback anyone, but it's my understanding from watching the news like everybody else is that they had some fairly significant information on this kid and threats he had made, etc. So here in Florida, one of the things that we're able to do is we're able to investigate that. If you have access to guns or weapons, and there is a reason for us to believe that you are going to harm yourself or someone else, and that could be a mom or a dad saying, I'm scared because my son has made comments, or a neighbor saying, hey, listen, that person is acting very bizarre, and I've seen them with weapons, and they've said things that are disturbing. Any scenario like that, we belong to a task force with Miami-Dade County where they're grouped together. They'll investigate that. They'll go in front of a county attorney who will present that to a judge, and we'll get what's called a risk protection order. We'll be able to go there and serve it essentially like a warrant and take those guns away from that person, interview that person, speak to that person, and hopefully that alone is enough for that person to rethink if they were thinking about doing something. It's almost like, well, they're on to me. My plan is not going to work.
They're on the radar.
Yeah, I'm on the radar. Never mind. Ideally, what would be really great is that we then have the ability to help that person and get them the meds that they need. Right. Because obviously you're not right in your head if you're writing these disturbing things or saying disturbing things. And so, luckily we have that as well, and it's something else that we can do proactively, and we've assigned some officers to work with the county in this project. And so far, I think we started in April. I think we've done probably five or six RPOs with the county already.
That's pretty good. Now let's talk about Miami. We've got all kinds of events going on, whether it be the Marlins games, the Heat games. We have Bayfront Park, Bayside, the mall there. A lot of events that have like open air. They're just basically out in the field or out in a large open area. So what are some measures that we're doing to protect these event goers that are going to them, making them feel safe and doing our best to protect them?
Super challenging, obviously. You don't want to make it so restrictive, even coming into an event where people don't want to come. At the end of the day, this is Miami. We want people to come here. We want people to have a good time here. We want the tourists to come. And we want to have these open air events because that's part of kind of what defines us. So the challenge is there without a doubt. Some of the things that we do, Nick, obviously, is we staff it properly, right? We'll have the right amount of policemen, depending on the amount of the size of the crowd. We'll have officers that we'll put in plain clothes. We communicate with all the hotels that are there. We number the hotels. That way, if it's someone from another agency that's not familiar with the address who's helping us, it's easy to identify if, God forbid, something were to happen. We have what's called overwatch, so we have people kind of watching from above to make sure everything's cool. We have cameras. We don't hide these cameras. We don't, we want people to know that we're watching and we're being vigilant, so it doesn't occur. These
are those little like you see the generator and little stick up that's over the crowd, like those type of cameras?
Those are some. We will have cameras potentially on a rooftop somewhere where we have the ability to zoom in. We have cameras that we can deploy depending on the layout of the event. And again, the idea is that we want to prevent crime. If a crime happens, we want to be able to catch the person, but the idea is we want to prevent. And you know, these cameras let us see who's coming in and who's leaving and who's carrying what. If you want, we can walk over. I'll show you what it kind of looks like, give you an idea. I don't know if you've ever been over there where we have the real-time crime center, but that can give you an idea of what it looks like and the ability that we have to focus in specifically like at Bayfront, because that's where we have a lot of the events.
You want to take the conversation over there?
Yeah, I'll show you.
All right. No problem. Let's go. We can move.
Hopefully they won't be too surprised when we walk in there.
Yeah, hey guys, the Chief's here.
All right, let's go over there and see. You know, like I said, hopefully we don't catch them too off guard.
So, what's that show? Undercover Boss.
Undercover Boss. That's right.
Oh, okay. I think I've been in here before. Yeah, I've been in here before.
So, and you might recognize, you may not. There's new stuff. I mean, we'll see.
Right.
So, Nick, this is to give you a general idea of what this looks like. What's happening, guys? Sorry. General idea of what this looks like and what we have the ability to monitor. What I specifically wanted to show you, though, is for example, here is where we have a ton of events, as you know. This is just one of the tools that we use to help us monitor. We can, of course, kind of have a holistic view. If we needed to zoom in, we get information from someone.
Chief, let me interrupt.
No,
what are we looking at here? Which one? Where's this at?
Okay, so this is downtown Bayfront Park. The AAA is up there. Bayside is there. This is you can see Biscayne Boulevard. You can see Freedom Tower over at a distance. This is one of the sites in the city that's super popular.
Just to put it more in context, if you come just out for a second, this is where Ultra, one of the largest EDM festivals now, is coming back. I think next year, I heard.
It is coming back. They'll be doing it here again. And yeah, this is one of the tools that we use to help keep people safe during an event like Ultra, that we have the ability, if somebody calls us or an officer reports something that he saw suspicious, or we get a phone call, a text, we have the ability to kind of zoom in and get an idea of what is happening and where.
All right, so back to the Zoom.
Back to the Zoom.
All right, here we go. Oh, yeah, it goes pretty far. Oh, look at that. No way. Look, you could read 305 double decker. Not an advertisement, sir.
I don't know those people.
Not an advertisement. But yeah, essentially you could read the numbers on that bus that is, I don't know, it's quite a distance away.
You want to pull back just to give them an idea of how far, and this is just to give you an idea of how far we can actually zoom in. So, I mean, we zoomed into that bus at a distance. You want to catch something here, Adrian? Just to give you an idea. So you have these guys there that are setting something up.
Right.
Or striking.
Oh, look at the back of their shirt. You can read the back of their shirt.
Oh, yeah. And you can get a really good description, obviously, and you know, what they're wearing, what the trucks say.
Again, not a paid advertisement.
Not a paid. I don't know those people.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I had told you about, it becomes, you know, as you know, Nick, when we have these big events, a lot of times we have officers that are not familiar with downtown because they don't work here, or we'll have officers from other agencies that'll come to work.
Yeah.
So we have a numbering system. If you take a look, something really simple, but it's effective. Everyone working an event will have this with them. If our overwatch or someone spots muzzle flash coming from a window, instead of trying to figure out what the address is to dispatch them there, they'll just say building 1, building 2, building 7, building 14, 12, whatever the case might be. And you know, all we're trying to do here is increase the speed in which we can, you know, advance on a potential shooter, someone that wants to harm our visitors, etc. So that just makes it a little bit more efficient.
So that just, you know, that's just us evolving. We are very aware of what's going on nationally, on a national scale. It's not like, well, it didn't happen here, so we don't have to take measures. This, you know, this can say directly came from that Vegas shooting. That
100%. And it's incumbent upon us. I mean, not me as the chief, not you as one of the officers, really everyone, to say, hey, what can we take from that and apply here to help mitigate an event, a bad event from happening here. And you know, I mean, it's our duty. It's all of our duties to be able to do that.
So I heard coming in, somebody said something about ShotSpotter integrated into this now. Is that something new? Or what is
That's
ShotSpotter?
something. So really quick, ShotSpotter, a lot of people know and a lot of people don't know. It's an acoustic system, acoustic sensors that let us know when shots have been fired somewhere. That we've had this for a while now. The only thing different that we've added is the cameras are now integrated into ShotSpotter. So if a shot goes off, the cameras will pivot and focus to wherever the shot came from. Again, to give a better chance of who's there, who did what, are they fleeing, who's involved. Just, again, so we're more efficient. And then ideally what we'll do, Nick, in the future, and hopefully in the near future, is all our dispatchers will have screens. So along with the screen where they're entering calls and who's dispatching, the time and the location and all that, they'll be able to view the cameras as well. And that way they can give real-time information to the officers responding. Be advised, there's a red car, or it's occupied 3 times, or there's a vehicle fleeing now, or I see someone firing. That's the idea.
All right. All right, sir, so it's a little bit different theme. This time we didn't do 3 questions, kind of stayed around the topic here. And we usually do a random question at the end, but this time, why don't we stay with the theme? Maybe you want to just address our audience and let them know, like, look, just reassure them that even though that stuff is happening nationally, we're doing everything we can possibly to mitigate anything like that from ever happening here or prevent it. God forbid something does happen here. Address it.
Yeah, Nick, I think, listen, first of all, I appreciate you asking these questions because honestly, the ton of questions that have come in from everyone when something like this happens, because, everybody worries. We worry too. I worry. Everyone worries. Everyone's mindful of these tragic events. What I would like everyone to know is that we're all working very hard here to make sure that we do everything that we can do to stop something like this from happening here. So if something were to happen, it certainly wouldn't be because we're not committed. Everyone in this police department, we have one of the finest departments in the nation, and everyone really works hard to keep us as safe as we can be. I mean, and that's the bottom line. We had a short period of time today, but I think you get the gist of really how important it is to us.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts.
All for the same purpose, though.
Absolutely.
All right, sir.
Okay, man.
There it was.
All right, brother.
3rd one in the books.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right.